Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Locked On NHL. Today, we are here with your Western Conference Wednesday episode, as always. And today, we are going to be running through the storylines from each team in this conference.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Locked On NHL Western Conference Wednesday, Battle of Alberta edition. I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, alongside Brett Holden from Locked On Oilers. Brett, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad. You're starting to feel the fall, the cold now coming in, and training camps are opening up. How could I not be good?
Exactly. I feel like there's just something in the air, and it's nice. It's starting to feel like hockey season again, and I'm ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I am so ready for the hockey season.
Good, because I hope our listeners are ready as well. Make sure that you're subscribed to Locked On NHL wherever you get your podcasts, and we are free and available on YouTube as well. We are, at the moment, 7 subscribers away from 1,000.
Ooh, let's go.
If you have not already, make sure you're subscribed there as well, because you're also getting free daily content, and you get to see like our facial expressions and stuff. And I think that's like the best part.
Exactly. It's a little bit more personable.
Exactly.
My voice isn't as annoying on video.
So, at risk of dogging on some of your favorite teams, make sure you're still subscribed after this episode, because just in case, I don't know, you're petty and want to unsubscribe, but don't. Please don't. So
haven't had any of those recently.
No, me neither, which is nice. But
the Oilers.
I feel like the storylines coming out of certain teams from, really this off season heading into camp could be really interesting and might get some feathers ruffled. But speaking of ruffled feathers, do we want to start with the Winnipeg Jets?
Might as well. Let's get up into the air here.
Yeah, for me, last week I mentioned Blake Wheeler reminding me of Ryan O'Reilly, and now they have one less thing in common. They're no longer both captain.
That was a shot.
Yeah. Well, it was like the day after we recorded, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But now, who are they going to rely on, and who are they going to call on for their leadership? Is it going to be Mark Scheifele? Is it going to be PLD, who seemingly wants nothing to do? I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too with the Winnipeg Jets. What I have heading into training camp for the Winnipeg Jets is their cohesiveness, just like what you said. Like, who are they going to look to? Like you said, Mark Scheifele, who has been vocal and not wanting to really, maybe not really play for the Winnipeg Jets, but not fully committed to the Jets, especially at the end of last season where he said, oh, well, I'll have to talk and see where we're at. Well, clearly something happened that he's like, okay, maybe. But still, to be able to put it out in the press and be okay, I'm not really into this is not fantastic. Then, like you mentioned, PLD doesn't want to be there as well. You have this whole thing before training camp of stripping your captain of the captaincy with a new regime in there. Where's it all going to fit? Who's going to fit? There's a lot more questions than answers going in to the Winnipeg Jets training camp.
100%. And I think that they're going to be one of the teams that everyone should watch if they enjoy chaos and tire fires. I feel like we just need a reality TV show for them, but we know that would never happen unless it's framing the NHL in a good light.
I mean, The other thing too is like the only stability that they have really is their goaltending with Hellebuck. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
I don't know. It's very interesting to kind of, I don't know how to look at it, but
Harrison over at Locked On Jets has it fully covered up. Like Harrison,
yeah,
one of the best. Absolutely, just picking apart that team can't be easy.
no, and I feel so bad for him because
Yeah.
he always has like the funniest comments when it comes into like our work group chat. Like, oh yeah, no one wants to be in Winnipeg. And he doesn't even live in Winnipeg, but it's so funny, and he really does an excellent job. I did a crossover with him back in 2020, and just a great kid. But you pick the next spot on the map?
Let's go right up to St. Louis. Well, I guess south to St. Louis. I think there are St. Louis is going to be an interesting team this year. They've brought in or re-signed a lot of the guys that really helped them succeed in the last couple of years. I'm looking at Jordan Kyrou more specifically. But for me, the storyline going into training camp and for the rest of the season, really, for the St. Louis Blues is Jordan Binnington. Let's ride. Or is it Jordan Binnington's last ride? I think this might be the last time. I mean, ever since they won the Stanley Cup, Binnington's career path has gone down, down, down. Is this really the guy that the Blues are really committed to keeping on with, especially with all of the off season or off ice stuff that you get with Jordan Binnington? Even the on ice stuff that you get with Jordan Binnington isn't fantastic. Could you see them move on from him at some point with the goalie market the way that it kind of is? Maybe, maybe not. But I just think that this could be a very interesting year for Jordan Binnington if he doesn't come out hot.
Yeah, absolutely. And any chance I get to like dunk on Jordan Binnington is a great day for me. But I could see them moving on from him. You know, I have that written down in my notes. It's, are they able to compete? And it comes back to Jordan Binnington, because I think it depends on where his head is at. And then, you know, you have Scandella going out. He needs hip surgery, I believe it was, and he's out for like 6 months. But could the Sharks be a contender for Jordan Binnington? Because he's a lot better than the goalies they have now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but the big thing too is then who comes in for St. Louis as their backup goaltender, or not even as their backup goaltender at that point, as your starting goaltender. Right. There's not a lot of fantastic choices, and not fantastic isn't the word, because there are. I mean, Thomas Greiss has been an NHLer for feels like 30 years now. Joel Hofer is a very good prospect in the St. Louis Blues organization, but is he ready? They lost Ville Husso this year, so if they were to move on from Binnington, are they in a space to be comfortable without Binnington? Maybe, maybe not.
I don't know.
That comes in training camp.
It certainly does. Do we want to head to, I guess, west?
Sure, let's go
Arizona?
West. Yes, let's do it, to the desert.
Yes. I don't think anything about their hockey will be a storyline this year. No matter how hard they try, I think it's going to come back to where they are playing. And that's a shame, because, you know, these are all professional athletes. But the more that we're learning and like the regulations that they have to put up with and whatnot, like no on ice modifications or anything like that, you know, having to split center ice logos and whatnot. But, you know, that's going to take away from the hockey. And I think, I don't know. It's just cause problems.
No, 100%. I mean, the fact that, and we've talked about this before too, the fact that so many of the fans that are going to be going to those games probably are going to be cheering for the other team in an already small arena doesn't help.
Yeah.
How is that gonna? Every game is gonna be an away game for you. Like at least at the Gila River, like yes, maybe there were a lot of away fans at the Gila River, but at least you had enough space where that noise is kind of scattered in a, what 5,000, 7,000, 8,000 butt arena. There's nowhere else for that noise to carry but over top of you, and when you're going, like there's not going to be any home games for them.
No.
What's happening here? How do you sit there and go, I can't wait to play in Arizona? It must feel like you're a traveling team. And there's a guy right now who's waiting to get out of Arizona, and for me that is my training camp storyline, is Jacob Chikrin. When is he going to go? He's not going to stay the whole year. So when is he going to go? And then on top of it, when he does go, what do you get in return? Your defense isn't fantastic. You may be a little top heavy, if that, in Arizona. But even then, is Zach Kassian going to be playing on your second line? There's just everything going. Yeah. Everything going into that training camp is just. Man, not fantastic. Borderline junior hockey type.
Yeah, and I can only imagine how the student section will be. I think of how rowdy college hockey games get in the States, and I don't know. But
imagine getting a discount code to an NHL hockey game for like $7 as an ASU student.
Right. Sign me up. We used to get 2 tickets for $35 a piece.
Yeah.
To Bruins games, and they were like in the press box area level, the promenade. So like it was cool, but yes, it was still $70. You're not getting like anything ridiculous. But
if you're paying $70 for a Coyotes ticket this year, there's something wrong.
Yeah, I think you're getting scammed.
Yeah. Robin has been doing, and Carl have been doing a fantastic job down there at Locked On Coyotes, trying to pick that team apart as well, fighting every bit of adversity while doing it as well. So shout out to Robin and Carl for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then should we do another bottom of the barrel team before we head on over to a quick break?
Let's do it.
All right. Chicago.
Yeah.
The star that I thought they were building around in Alex DeBrincat ends up getting shipped off to Ottawa, and then it's seemingly the rest of the pieces that they could have been building around, and I guess Kirby Doc, if you wanted to, also left. But can this team win 25 games?
That's a low bar, and I'm half concerned that they can't. Like genuinely, you look at this. Patrick Kane's going to be gone at some point. I don't assume Jonathan Taves will be playing many games, if at all, this year. No. I mean, your best player outside of Patrick Kane is who? Max Domi.
That's bad.
It is, and you take a look at Tyler Johnson's decent, but you go there and there is just nothing. It is a barren waste. I would prefer the Arizona Coyotes roster over the Chicago Blackhawks roster. It is so bad, and that is why genuinely, you look at it and you go, this is. Half of it is a WHL hockey team, and the other half of it is about 37 years old. And you go, what is happening? Where I am at is which kids make it. There are tons of spots to be won in Chicago. So many kids have the opportunity here to be able to make a spot. I mean, even on the back end, excuse me, take a look at Nolan Allen, Kevin Korchinski, who was their draft pick this year in the first round. Fantastic offensive skills. Could he impress somebody in the higher ups, in the coaching staff, to go, okay, maybe we'll give you even 7 games, 9 games, give you that little buffer in between, and then we'll send you back to a stacked Seattle Thunderbirds team. They have players all over the place that really could. Even I mentioned the fact that, well, you mentioned Kirby Dach is gone, but I mentioned a couple weeks ago that now that Kirby Dach is gone, they still have Colton Dach, Kirby's brother, in the organization. Is he going to stay? Will he play there? There's even stuff bubbling under the surface with the prospects for the Blackhawks. That's not good.
That's never a good sign. That's not good at all.
No. I am very concerned about the Blackhawks. I have to be honest with you.
Yeah. And Jack is our Chicago Blackhawks host, who I have had the pleasure of chatting with, and he's a great guy and very, very knowledgeable on the team. So I definitely recommend checking out his show for all of the chaos that is the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, chaos is the right word. Chaos is certainly the right word. We shall move on to the rest of the Central Division in just a second. But first, I want to tell y'all about our partners over at Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your pro and college betting needs and sports info this season. Find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, and podcasts for this year's NFL and NCAA football seasons. BetOnline is also your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including NBA, MLB, NHL. Obviously, you got to have the NHL in there. You can even bet on sports like Turkish League Soccer, I'm sure, is on there at some point. I mean, I would throw a bet on Galatasaray, I'm sure. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Jess, let's go to the polar opposite of the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's go to the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Colorado Avalanche. What do you think is their storyline heading into training camp this year?
Well, if this was yesterday, I would have said McKinnon's contract, but that a whopping $12.6 million a year, and then it was something like $85 million in sign-on bonuses. Must be nice. That's a whole lot of chickpea pasta, a whole lot of carbless everything. My friend texted me and was like, Nathan McKinnon is going to throw $13 million into the keto diet industry. Like, please. Oh my God. But I would have to say, not repeat, but can they still hang with the contenders? Because, it is hard to have that long of a season, obviously have a shortened off season mixed in with your partying and day-to-day activities, but are they going to be able to still hang there? Will they still be a playoff team with the losses and additions that they've made this offseason?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, you lose Nazem Kadri, who is one of your biggest contributors to the team, and you also lose your starting goaltender in Darcy Kemper. And that's where my question or the storyline, I guess, for the Colorado Avalanche becomes. Is Pavel Francouz better than Darcy Kemper? Can he hold his own? Yes, you saw what he could do in the playoffs in that in almost I don't almost want to call it a backup role, but it wasn't necessarily either a 1B role either. Yeah. That crease was always going to be Kemper's, and you saw whenever he tried to come back from that eye injury, Kemper got the call. But now it's Francouz's crease. Is he good enough for that spot for a contending team for an entire year? Yes, you also brought in Alexander Georgiev, who is a very, very good goaltender. But is he the guy? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that that's such an interesting situation to look at, because I feel like just a few years ago, we were looking at Colorado and questioning their goaltending tandem and wondering, is this what they need to take it to the next level. And no disrespect to Darcy Kemper, but I would never peg him as a 1A guy. I would never be like, this is my starting goaltender. I feel like they won the Stanley Cup with 2 backups, and that's impressive. So we'll have to see where that goes. The guys over at Locked On Avalanche are some of the most passionate hosts.
Oh.
I love them. I love seeing their posts, and just I think only one of them lives in Market, if either of them even live in Market, but incredible stuff, and you can count on them for your reigning Stanley Cup champion coverage.
Chris and Kyle are the best. Shaker Von Doom. Kyle
Yes.
goes, the goat. Yes, no, absolutely. Locked On, and I also had a quick experience with them last year with the Oilers and the Avalanche as well. Oh my goodness, what a time. You sit there and it's genuinely like having a conversation with people you've known your entire life. That is the type of feeling that Locked On Avs gives you. And those are your reigning Stanley Cup champions. I'm curious to hear what they think about the goaltending situation. Speaking of goaltenders, let's head to Dallas, as Dallas seems to have the goaltender maybe of the future, or whether that's within the organization or for the league as well. Jess, is that where your storyline is, or am I out to lunch? Am I the only one who's looking at the crease here?
No, see, I agree with you 150%, but I'm going to say, can this team stay healthy? I think that that's my biggest kind of red flag when it comes to Dallas, because you have aging core members, Joe Pavelski, Tyler Seguin,
Jamie Benn.
I almost said Ben Bishop, but that's now different situation. Can those 3 stay healthy on top of everyone else? You lost Klingberg.
Mm-hmm.
Your owner admitted that he doesn't like signing people.
Your best player is a young guy that you're saying you won't sign.
Right. Like, your young players are being exploited. Yeah. Can this team stay healthy and be able to perform in front of the one and only Jake Ottinger?
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. And I 100% agree, because the amount of times where you're going into a Dallas Stars team and you see, oh, they're missing this guy, this guy, this, that, and the other thing. Yes, they just acquired Nils Sundqvist as well for a first-round pick, which is absolutely shocking. But I heard even Ross and Michael talking about it yesterday on Locked On NHL about Sundqvist being in a similar position that Klingberg was in when he was coming into the NHL. Will that figure itself out? We'll see. That's a wait and see type thing. For me, it is in the crease. And is Jake Ottinger the guy we think he is? The amount of flash in the pan goaltenders we've seen throughout the last couple of years have been, you can't even count them on 2 hands. Hopefully Jake Ottinger isn't that guy not growing up, but coming into the next year and into his career. But it's only a time will tell type thing. This is the first full season where he is technically or considered the guy. So now it's time for him to go out there and show why he was the guy in playoffs and against the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully there won't be any more of that Russian voodoo on him. That was hysterical. But, I think that is just, I don't know. I'm really rooting for Ottinger. He's a Boston University kid who just is just, you can't hate him. He's a good egg. Yeah. But do we stick to the South and stay with the Predators?
Might as well. We only have 2 more teams left here in the Central, and then we're off to the Pacific. But let's talk about the Preds.
Offense. Where are you now?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it before on this show, and just they don't have really any scoring, like their forward lines. I mean, of course you have Philip Forsberg and Matt Duchene, but where else is the offense. And do not tell me, oh, Roman Josi. Roman Josi cannot carry this team. He's not made for that.
Mm-hmm. He's a natural born leader, absolutely, but that doesn't come with only being able to produce points. And I'm with you 100%. That's where mine is too. Where is the offensive output coming from other than Philip Forsberg? You mentioned Matt Duchene as well. That's fantastic. But then who? Tanner Jeannot is a great hockey player. I love Tanner Jeannot, but he's not a goal scorer. He's not a point producer. He can with the way that he puts himself into open areas and creates open ice for himself and gets into positions where he is able to put the puck into the net or contribute offensively as well. But he's not a point producer. He's not that guy. After that is Michael Granland, really an older guy. He's 30 years old now. Is he really going to be a guy that the Nashville Predators can lean on? Ryan Johansson, an obvious favorite as well, but even then, a two-way guy in that as well. After that, Cody Glass, another fantastic hockey player, but a two-way guy. And we, as you've mentioned, we've mentioned it on this show as well. They have always been a team who has committed themselves to being a full 200-foot team. That's always been the type of players that they brought in, the David Lagwans, all those types of players. But they never really produce offensively. And you see, I mean, David Poile is still at the helm for the Nashville Predators. And I don't see anything
changing. Time for a change.
For real. He's been there since they came into the league.
Right. It's time. And that's a long time for a general manager.
Mm-hmm. Way too long.
You can't fire yourself. So someone else is going to have to do it. But
sometimes I sit there and wonder if I can, though. Sometimes I do sit there.
I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Finally, the last team in the Central, and honestly, one of my favorite teams to watch over the last year, which is weird because growing up, the Minnesota Wild as an Oilers fan is just one of those teams where you're like, you're playing the Wild, but the Wild just throughout last season, throughout their lineup, have exciting players, and that's why my storyline is: can Krill still be the thrill?
That's fair. I really like that. I think that mine is them having an identity, because I don't know if this team knows how good they are, and I don't know if they, like, there was a point last year, and it was right before the All-Star break. The former host Sarah and I were looking and doing some show planning, and we were like, wait, the Wild are at the top of their division? I had no idea they were like that good. And she's like, I don't think they know that they're that good. So I think that it's going to be a situation where they need a true voice in the room and someone to kind of say, look at the talent we have on this team. Look who we have in between the pipes for us this season. Go big or go home.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm really behind the do they know how good they are, especially up front. I mean, Matthew Boldy came in last year and just took the league by storm. Yep. He looked ready to play in the NHL. I mean, Joel Eriksson-Ek took another massive step last year. I think he's basically a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins 2.0 type player. I mean, Jordan Greenway's coming into his own. Tyson Jost was sent over there, a guy who's familiar with that Minnesota area and has really excelled as well. Sam Steele is going to be a new player in there. Nice new regime for him. He's a good hockey player. We'll see how well they can start to integrate him. They have a lot of guys. That's just up front. And Matt Zuccarello as well. They have a ton of very good guys. And then we haven't even gotten to potentially the other team that really contends, the Calgary Flames, for the best defensive core in the league, and that's the Minnesota Wild. Jonas Brodin, Matt Dumba, Alex Goligoski, who threw an absolute strike for the Minnesota Twins for a first pitch recently. John Merrill, Jacob Middleton, Jared Spurgeon, the last name that I bring up there, their captain. Fantastic hockey players, fantastic defensemen. they might be the mint or the dime of the West here. They are a fantastic hockey team.
Yeah, and I think it again comes back to them realizing how good they are and kind of putting their full belief into it and buying in on themselves.
Totally. Shout out to Seth as well at Locked On Wild. One of the best personalities. Seth is the best. Seth is the best. Yes, make sure you tune into Locked On Wild for Seth as well. And I mean, break down one of the best teams in the league today.
Absolutely. And then coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with some Pacific Division content and, the storylines for this year's the best team in the West. Brett, where do you
We're right. Yeah, we're right here. The best team in the West is right here. But should we start with the best team in the West?
I think we should.
Well, sure, why not? We'll start with the best team in the West. That's the Edmonton Oilers. Yes, thank you. Hello, I know. I understand. You know what? For a long time, I was like, why could you hate the Oilers? After some movement recently, I understand. But where I'm going to start with the Edmonton Oilers and where I think the Edmonton Oilers, where you should really watch the Edmonton Oilers is Jesse Puljujärvi. Yes, you have all these. Can they stop the puck? Can they? Their defense good enough? Really, I think it starts and not necessarily ends, but it starts with Jesse Puljujärvi. You saw the PTOs that they have given out recently, and the guy that they brought in is supposedly supposed to be lighting a fire under Puljujärvi's butt to say, you know what, if you're not going to produce the way that we think you want to, or the way that we want you to, well, this kid who is drawn a lot of negative attention will take your spot or has the opportunity to take your spot. Also, for some reason, that kid has 5 goals in 36 games the last time that he played. And then his team over in the KHL had a better time with him not on the ice than they did with him on the ice, a 0.43 goals for percentage with him on the ice and a 58% with him on the ice. But that's never mind there. Jesse Puljujärvi will really drive the bottom 6 of the Edmonton Oilers in some way there, whether that is a positive way or a negative way. At the same time, if he doesn't make the team, then he's the one who's going to be traded. If he does really force the hand of the Edmonton Oilers, then you have to look at the Warren Fogels who have to get moved, this, that, and the other thing, because they still have to give a contract to Ryan Mcleod as well, who, happy birthday to Ryan Mcleod. Hopefully you can get your contract today. Starts and ends with Jesse Puljujärvi.
Yeah, that's what I have as well. I think that on my end, though, it was more of a watch for him to be traded situation because I can't imagine that he's too happy with who they're bringing in to kind of fire him up. I would think that you don't believe in me. You want this joke of a player to come in and light a fire underneath me. No, I'm going to light a fire under you to have me traded by the end of camp.
100%. And I mean, let's also not forget that the player that they brought in, apparently a lot of Edmonton Oilers fans were fans of before he signed with the Edmonton Oilers. Every time that he played,
sucked at hockey.
Yeah, you know what? Every time that he played against the Edmonton Oilers fans certainly had a lot to say about him negatively on Twitter, but all of a sudden, let's give him a chance. But hey, that's neither here nor there. We have a very happy Finn who smiles all the time that Edmonton just loves to send out of town. But hey, either way, would we take the nice guys? Apparently not in Alberta. We want the bad guys. Speaking of Alberta, speaking of the bad guys, let's head down to Calgary. Where do you think the storyline is in Calgary right now?
Did they name a captain? I think that it's a little easier for me to go with that than some of maybe the bigger issues. But, they're one of 2 teams now without a captain. And I just, I have a whole episode about it because it's very interesting to me who they could name, and why haven't they named one yet?
Yeah, that's a good. Well, I think because the guy who's going to get to see both of them were moved in the off season, so a little bit of a reconfiguration there. I don't know if you ever heard of those two, but yeah, no. For me, it goes along with that almost is. How do the new guys fit? Because you do have a relatively old regime in Daryl Sutter. Now you guys still don't have a captain, so then who do the new guys look at for or look to for a comfortability for this, that, or the other thing? At the same time, those new guys are world-class talents. So how well do they fit? Is it a system that they can fit? This is Huberdeau's first move in the NHL for Nazem Kadri. He's moved around now a couple times technically, but it's not his first regime. So how do the new guys fit on their new team? Plus, of course, Mackenzie Weegar on the back end of a very good back end as well. But like you said, who's the leader back there? Is Weegar the leader back there? Yes, you have Chris Tanev. Is he the captain? Is he where's the direction?
Exactly. I don't think there is any right now. Well, there is.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's, I don't know. Like I don't know.
You have to with the best coach in the last ever, potentially. I mean, I'm a big Daryl Sutter fan, so that's the thing. I mean, yes, I sit there and go, oh, where are the issues for Calgary? You not necessarily have to come up with one, but you have to sit there and go, oh, okay, there is this issue, but you have the best coach ever to mend those over.
Yeah, and we love Daryl Sutter. I think he's pretty neat.
Yeah, but we stand Daryl even in Edmonton.
I love it. He's just a farm boy. Just wild. But let's stick with, I guess, the good here. The Kings, who happen to be on your hat as well. Yes. If you're watching on YouTube, which you absolutely should, so we can hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. Do they show up the way that they showed up last year?
Yeah. I mean, that's the big thing too. Is how much, and that also goes hand in hand. What my storyline is what have they learned? So, do they do what they did last year, and how do they apply with what they learned last year to go forward? They're a young team. Yes, Drew Doughty's going to be joining them once again. But how long does that stand? Yes, you got Kevin Fiala, fantastic hockey player, great hockey player, great add. How does he add to the team? You just re-signed Mikey Anderson, Sean Durzi as well. Sean Durzi is going to be the future of that defense. What did he learn? How do you provide that? How do you move forward with everything? Big stepping stone last year. Now it's a matter of how you get that next foot to take that next step.
100%. And I think that they're in a very interesting situation because no one expected them to make the playoffs last year, and especially to take Edmonton to 7. So, they got their feet a little bit more than wet. And I say, like you said, what do they apply?
Yeah.
From last year to this year.
And I mean, at the same time, yes, they went 7, but they went 7 with a very good hockey team. If as we were joking around here, the team to beat in the West, but also at the same time, a very difficult atmosphere to play in playoffs, in a game 7 in Edmonton as a young team who's playing relatively in their first playoffs. They held their own pretty well. And if it wasn't for that 97 guy, if you ever heard of him, it might have gone a different way as well. Let's stay within the state of California. I almost said the province of California. I wish it was a province sometimes. But let's stay within the state of California. Let's move a little bit. I believe Anaheim is south. So let's go a little bit south from Los Angeles to Anaheim, Orange County, as some may even call it. What are you looking for from the Orange County Ducks?
Are the youth ready?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of praise. Not even the coaching. I'm talking about just the players on the ice, because we know that Dallas Eakin does not like to play the youth, so we just ignore him. But I do think that there are a plethora of players who definitely just make up a very talented roster.
Mhm.
And are they ready? Now, this is a situation where I don't think, like, I can praise a team, right? And because the West and the Pacific is less competitive, I don't want people to think, oh, I'm calling them a playoff team. I'm not. I'm just saying, are they ready to take that next step, which is maybe having a winning record?
Yeah. No, 100%. I 100% agree. I mean, look at the young guys they have on that team, the young guys that they can pump out there. The Trevor Zegras, the Mason McTavish now this year, Jamie Drysdale as well. Olin Zellweger might be an outside shot to make the team too. There are a lot of very fun players, young players coming out of Anaheim. And that's why for me, my storyline is to see how the chemistry between Trevor Zegras and Mason McTavish is. I think from an outsider's perspective, it seemed like the closest companion for Trevor Zegras last season was Sonny Milano, and now Sonny Milano is, well, not there. He's in Calgary right now for PTO. So now you bring in somebody who's similar in age, similar in mindset, in the way skill set as well. This could be a very exciting 1-2 punch between Trevor Zegras and Mason McTavish. Can they build their relationship early throughout training camp so we can see one of the most dominant, most exciting dynamic duo in the NHL? That is, for me, the Anaheim Ducks could be one of the most exciting teams in the NHL.
100%. And I think watching McTavish in Worlds or at Worlds this past summer was very if that's what you were getting out of him in Anaheim, I think Anaheim fans should be ecstatic and should be just over the moon. But let's see.
We have 4 more teams here. 4 more teams. I think one of them we have a very similar one there. Let's stay in the state of California really quick, and then we'll move through, I guess, kind of the Pacific there. I guess we're all in the Pacific, but let's move north. Let's go to San Jose, and it's whoa, not fantastic.
Outside of the teal jerseys, what's good? Like what's good for you guys? Because I am having such a difficult time finding something positive to say about their on ice presence. And I hate that because JD is such a great host of Locked On Sharks. And I love how realistic he is. But I think that William Eklund has a chance to come up and really make the team this season, and hopefully turn a page, because that's all you have going for you.
Yeah, that's for me too. The new regime. What does the new regime look like? How will they respond? How will they, over the next couple of years, really hammer in their philosophy? But that's not going to happen this year. So for me, now is the first steps of the new regime, and whether that's going to be positive or negative, we shall see. But it's not going to be an overnight thing in the slightest in San Jose. Let's move up, as you mentioned as well, Locked On Shark. Yes, they do have an abysmal hockey team. I'm sorry for putting it like that, JD, but JD is one of again, just the cream of the crop at Locked On here. So make sure you tune in. Again, bad team.
Yeah.
Best host.
I was going to say, if you watch the hockey team and you're a fan of them, or like you're just interested in learning more, JD is the 180 of what that is. What the hockey is. He's just so good, and he's a pleasure to chat with. He's so knowledgeable. Like, I'm shocked that hockey, anything, isn't his full-time job, because he just knows so much.
Yeah.
But do we move east or north?
Let's go north. Let's come back to Canada really quick because I think the last two teams here, we have the exact same thing. Let's go to the north to the Vancouver Canucks here. And for me, it's the bottom six of their forwards and their defense. They have Thatcher Demko as their goaltender, fantastic goaltender. They really, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson. They added Andrei Kuzmenko. They added Ilya Mikheyev as well. There we go. I almost said Yevseyev, who is an Edmonton Oilers draft pick this year. Yes, they have a lot of very good top end talent. Obviously, as well, Quinn Hughes too. But then it becomes a matter of the supporting role for me. I think Vancouver, if they can figure it out, can be one of those dark horse teams that can really, really run amok somewhere. But they need to figure out their defense and their characters.
Absolutely. And I know somewhere in a faraway land, Robin Scherbatsky is so happy with her Vancouver Canucks and the page that has been turned in, I hope she's doing well in this universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I have for the Canucks as well. I think that they do have the possibility of really being that underdog team, the dark horse. And we saw a little bit of that last year too. If they had another 2 weeks, they could have pushed into the playoffs. And that's how it was the year before too, with the shortened season. But they had all come down with this variant that just took their whole team out and unfortunately cost them a postseason run, but that's okay because here we are in the present and things are looking a little bit brighter.
I forgot about that. But in Bruce, we trust.
Yes.
Let's go a little bit down the Pacific coast here as the Seattle Kraken. I think we both have, maybe not. We might not here, but for the Seattle Kraken, I'll break the ice here because I want to see if you do have the same thing. For me, they had a legend, wait for it, Gary. 4th overall pick this year in Shane Wright, and now their top 2 centers are Matty Beniers, a 2nd overall pick from last year, and Shane Wright, the guy who a lot of people had at number 1 this year. That is a very deadly 1-2 punch, especially down the road. That is where I'm keeping my eye on. Can Shane Wright make the NHL this year? Because it seems like there may be a lot of guys this year, if not at all, anybody playing in the NHL from this year's draft. Can Shane Wright be the one guy this year? And will he contribute along with Matty Beniers? That's what I'm excited to watch this year.
Yeah, I have pretty much the same thing. And if there was a better team to get drafted to, I'm not so sure he would have been making the NHL this year. I think the Kraken will be putting him to great use, and I'm excited to watch it. And I don't think that after their inaugural season, Kraken fans really had much to look forward to.
Kraken fans, let's ride.
Yeah, let's Kraken country, let's ride.
Yeah, that's what it is. Country. That's what it is.
Oh my god! But I'm gonna assume we have the same thing for Vegas.
Yep, we did.
Jack Eichel. That's it. That's the storyline. All right, show's over. There you go, guys. Happy Wednesday.
You guys have a great Wednesday. Stay safe. No, 100%. Jack Eichel, just really quickly, 12% of their salary cap there. And the injuries, you can also talk about the goaltending as well. But, Jack Eichel just needs to be the guy that everybody expects him to be.
Yeah, and, that is a lot of pressure. And I also think this is also just my, anti-Jack Eichel agenda here. But I think it's very weird that he crashed on Taylor Hall's, at his apartment in Boston this summer instead of going to see his family, which live 5 minutes outside of Boston. But anyways,
this is weird.
Yeah, I think Jack Eichel just needs to come back healthy and be the Jack Eichel that everyone expected him to be out of the gate when he was drafted.
100%. Just want to give a couple of quick shout outs because we did gloss over one of the best people in Locked On in general, Erica, who runs Locked On Kraken over there. Just, I mean, with the team that they have there, the positivity that Erica has is infectious. But also with the Vegas Golden Knights, if you need some sort of pick me up from the Jack Eichel. Tony over there at Locked On Golden Knights is really good as well. Just, I mean, we trash the Vegas Golden Knights. I think we have a saying about the Golden Knights, but if we do say one nice thing, it has to be about Tony.
Yeah, 100%. And Tony's another great host. We have a lot of, I mean, all of our hosts are talented and just some of the best, but there's just, I don't know, I'm a sucker for Pacific Division hosts because I talk to the most, and that's me as well as Brett. But, I think that it's a great group, and if you're interested in following along, like I know some people have an Eastern and a Western team. So come hang out with us if you already have someone on the East, because we're all pretty neat, I would say.
Yeah, we're pretty vibey. We're pretty vibey over here. Alrighty, let's call it there. Fantastic show today. Thank you so much, Jess. Where can the people follow you at?
Yes. So you can find me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto, and you can find Locked On Flames at LO_FlamesPod, as well as anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And remember to subscribe to Locked On Flames on YouTube as well. Brett? Yes. I know I have your handle messed up on here. I'm sorry. I meant to fix it.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. My handle today apparently is this, but no, my handle on everything is The Real Holden 40 on everything, exactly how it sounds. But you don't care about me, you care about the hockey, and you care about the Oilers. As they're opening up training camp today, my phone is blowing up with a whole bunch of news. So after this, make sure you head on to Locked On Oilers on YouTube and also on Twitter as well. It's exactly how it sounds there, and wherever you find your podcast. Locked On Oilers.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us today. And next week, we will be back, and hockey will also be fully back.
Yes!